Well, I am back from Pennsylvania. I was there for a couple of weeks, 3 weeks almost, and got back on Sunday late afternoon. And most of last week, Monday through Friday, was pretty rainy. So I didn't get a whole lot done on the fan units in the back of the Quonset hut, but figured I'd try and work with the weather. And since everything was going to be wet, I'd try to do something where it didn't matter if everything was wet. So I started doing a little cleaning on the outside of the Quonset hut, and I think it looks kind of interesting. I'm almost questioning whether or not I should paint it or just put some sort of clear coat on it after cleaning it up. So let me flip the camera around and show you what I've done and what you think. We'll see. So let's flip around. Okay, so this is Quonset hut on the north face, and I cleaned all of the ribs as far as I could reach anyway from the ground. It took about, I don't know, 2 days doing a little bit at a time. It certainly wasn't all day, but it was a lot of work. It was pretty tough on the hands because it was a lot of scrubbing, but it does look really good. So I bought a tool, a new tool. It's like I think it's a Craftsman rotary scrubber, and I'm going to give it a try, see if it will make the job go a little bit faster. But this looks pretty good. I mean, a clear coat on that looked pretty good, I think. And then when I was doing the Bondo work, I had noticed that using the rust converter was actually lightening up the concrete where it was dripping on to the concrete from the metal. So I thought I'd give that a try on the concrete and see what it did. So this is an area that I did, this last rib here, an area that I did with a little bit of scrubbing with a wire brush. And then these 3 or 4 were just areas that I brushed it on and then didn't do anything. I left it for 24 hours and then hosed it off. And when I was hosing it off, I just used a little hand brush, not very, just enough to rub the surface a very little bit, just to help get that film off there. And that's how that turned out. Not too bad. There's still a little bit of dark areas here right up by the building. But you compare that to down here, there's a pretty big difference. So, I'm just wondering if it's worth it or not to continue doing this. I figure if I could get it brightened up a little bit, I could put a concrete sealant on it and it would look pretty good. So, and then today I started working back here a little bit. These are the tarps that I put up before I left because I was going to be gone for like 3 weeks, so I didn't know how much rain we would get, and I wanted to protect the framing that I had done on the inside. So I took a little time to put the framing up, the tarps up, and it seemed to work really well, protected it, because I know we did have rain while I was away, a lot of it. But I got up here, and all along the top there was that old crusty tape that they had used when they had the big door that would swing like this. And I used some Gooby Gone to try and get rid of it. And boy, that took a long time. I probably reapplied it 20 some times, sprayed it on, and kept scrubbing. You can see I scrubbed so long and so hard to get all that old crusty stuff off there. I actually scrubbed right through the factory white paint job that had been put on the aluminum sheet. So yeah, it took a lot of work to get that off there. And then once you get the crusty stuff off, then you need to get the gooby gone. So I ended up washing this about 4 times to get the gooby gone, because otherwise, if you're going to paint this section here, you can't paint it if you put gooby gone on there, because it won't stick. So I made sure I cleaned it very, very thoroughly, both with a scrubby sponge and the foaming cleaner. I did it 4 times just to make sure that the paint, when I do paint it, will stick to it. So that's that. I think if we're going to have some good weather, I'll take these down, because I'm now working on the inside with the fan boxes again. So let me take you inside and we can talk about that. There's some issues there. All right, so here are the 4 fan boxes that I've been working on. And I did start to put the larger mending plates on 2 of them. I seem to have misplaced a couple of the larger mending plates. I think I ordered enough for all of them, but I'm only finding about 8. So I got number 1 and number 2. I got them put on to those boxes, those fan boxes. And then, let me flip this over. Hang on 1 second. So this is the start of the number 1 box. What I did was I cut these 1x frame pieces very carefully so that I don't stick out beyond the edge and make it no longer fit into its proper position. And then I have some of these screws with big fender washers screwed in to the box, not real firmly, because I'm gonna bring them out or pull them out, and the screening, the stainless steel screening, will go in here, and then this will come down onto the edge of the stainless steel screening to hold it into place. But I want to do a couple of experiments. I'm thinking maybe if I only use friction holding between this piece and the box, that it may loosen up over time and get loose and cause issues. So I'm going to do a couple of experiments with using some different kinds of tape underneath here to help secure the stainless steel screening to the actual box. So it will be a compression fit down onto the box, plus some like non-slip tape. That's one idea. And then there was another one with some double-sided sticky tape that I'm going to try as well. I'm just trying to come up with something that's going to last a long time and not have to worry about this thing loosening up, because the lumber is going to shrink over time. It's going to lose water out of the wood, and it will probably get a little bit loose. I mean, maybe if I just retighten these bolts after a while, that would be fine. But I do want to do a couple of little experiments to see what happens. And then let me turn this over again. I'm going to turn the camera off and then back on 1 second. Okay, so this is how the fan unit is going to actually sit in this box. This is the bottom, that's the top. And then the fan itself has these 2 small bolts that hold a stand to it. They look like this. And if you notice, the head is at an angle. See if I get that right. So when you put this in here, because the fan shroud is at an angle, when you push it up against it, it then makes it parallel to or straight across. So the idea here was to take those bolts and then put a extension nut on there like this. 1 second. like that, and then have another bolt come through the other side into here to hold the fan in place. So I'll do one on that side and one over here like that. And of course I'll countersink it over here so it doesn't stick out, because this has to be flat to fit into its position. The problem that I'm running into was that these extension nuts, while they're great for another project that I'm working on, I thought they were the same, these bolts here were the same size and thread as the other ones that I'm working with, but they're not. I'm thinking this is either a metric bolt or it's a fine thread SAE bolt, and it just doesn't go into this extension nut here. So I'm going to have to find out exactly what the thread is on this, and then get some additional extension nuts here like this that match the threads for this, because otherwise I'm kind of dead in the water until I can get that. And also I'm surprised, I mean, I cut it really close, a little too close on the size of this, and what I had to do was route out the top and the bottom here so that I have a little bit of wiggle room for this fan, because I know that once you start them up, they're gonna start to vibrate a little bit. So I wanted to have clearance on the top and the bottom, and so they won't be hitting the top and bottom while they're running. The other thing that I ran into was the motor. Let me pull that over here. Let's see here. So here's the motor for the fan, and the way they have it wired, what I'm going to have to do, I think, at least what I'm thinking now, is they have this switch on the back side here that has 3 positions, well, 4 positions: off, low, medium, and high. And I would have to run 4 additional wires to where I mount the switch on the wall along with this power cord in order to be able to have control over, off, low, medium, and high. So what I'm thinking of doing is basically just putting 2 fans on medium and 2 fans on low, and just hardwiring them into, that speed so that I don't have to run all those extra wires. And, I lose a little control doing that, but it saves me from having all these extra wires that I got to run. And I'm not even sure if it would work with the way they have this whole setup. So what I'm going to do is just hardwire from, I think, black here coming in as power to the blue, and that'll be the medium fan setting. And so then I won't have to worry about running extra wires to do the control. I just have to run the power wire to the wall. So there'll be a single on-off switch, and it'll be automatically just set to, the 2 top ones will be set to medium speed, and the 2 bottom ones will probably be set to maybe low speed or high speed. I'm not sure exactly. Or maybe, 2 on the top are medium and 2 on the bottom, one left is high and low, who knows, whatever combination. But I think I'm just going to hardwire them for a single speed, just to make life a little bit easier. All right, well, that's it for the Saturday update. Kind of dead in the water with the fans until I can get the right extension nuts. But I got some other stuff I can do. Obviously, there's a lot left to do here. I can cut these pieces for the other box. I can do the routing on these other 2 boxes. And then there's some outside work I can do with cleaning the concrete, and maybe do some painting on the back over there where I had removed all the old goo stuff, get that painted up. And then also along the top above here is going to be like a small tiny roof that sticks out maybe 10 inches or so, just to shelter above the fan units to prevent water from dripping directly on it. And I've got a new solution for that. What's going to cover the back fan units is going to be a simple solution. It's been around forever: shutters. I ordered a couple shutters and they will be here soon, and I can mount them. They'll allow air in, but yet help to keep water out. Kind of like up there. You know, you can see that's got like a shutter shape to it up here. I don't know if you can see that. Same idea as that, but they'll be mounted on the outside of the building, and I think that should work better than trying to make my own flashing and, you know, trying to make a makeshift solution when there's already a solution that's been working for decades. So, okay, that's it. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Okay, this is the update for Sunday, June 22nd. And today was a day where things got done, but it doesn't look like things got done. And I hate those days. But anyway, let me take you in and show you what I'm working on. Switch this around. All right, so this laying on the floor here, this was a template that I created so that I could put it on, using it from the outside or the back of the Quonset hut. I can position the holes for the wooden beam that's going to support the little like 10-inch roof over the window, or sorry, the fan openings. So, you know, that will just be convenient for when I'm actually drilling the holes from the outside. But then I used that to also transfer those holes onto this beam here. This is the actual beam that's going to be bolted to the outside of the back wall above the fan units. And it basically has this triangular shape so that this side will be up against the back side of the building, and the bolts will get put right through here. So what I had to do before I cut this was I marked out all the holes and I drilled it, and then it leaves a flat bottom hole in here. And then I cut this with the table saw and sanded it down a little bit. That was a very tough job because, first of all, this is treated lumber, and if you let it sit without putting it in place or nailing it down, it tends to warp, which it certainly did. So the first thing I had to do was to straighten the back side. So I had to put a straight edge on the back and then use a circular saw from both sides and then cut that straight. And I was hoping that it would help me with cuts after that, but it didn't really help. Yes, this is flat on this side, so, well, relatively flat now, so that's good. But using this side up against the fence in the table saw was really not possible for cutting this angle. So this was a real nightmare here because I'm just not set up with a decent saw to cut it, cut long pieces like this. I don't have like a runoff table or something to lead it into the saw flat. I just had to kind of wing it and do the best I could. It turned out okay, so I'm not complaining. So yeah, this will get painted tomorrow, even though it's treated lumber, and getting prepped for being put on the back wall. I've ordered a couple of shutters. They're vinyl shutters, and that's what I'm going to use. I think I mentioned that yesterday, to cover the fan units on the back side. And they are a color called wineberry, and I need to try and get some paint to match that because I want to paint this and the sheet of aluminum that comes down off of this to shed water away from the fan boxes. So I'll give it a coat of just the regular paint that I'm using right now. It's acrylic paint. It's very good. It'll help seal that. But then I got to get something that will match the shutters to cover, to do a second coat on this beam here. Next, over here, this is the actual piece of aluminum that is going to get screwed to that beam that I just showed you when it's on the wall. This was actually the piece of metal that was over the sliding barn door when I first got here. So I cut it down to the proper length. This is like 70 inches here. It sticks out a little bit beyond the fan boxes. And then I sanded it down, tried to get, it cleaned up as best as possible. And I will paint this as well tomorrow. And that will also get painted with the Wineberry if I can get it matched, or at least get something that's close. And also over here, I got another one of the boxes. I've got all the pieces that will hold the screening on. So that's, and now I only had one of these with these pieces that hold the screening on. Now I've got box 1 and 2, and I've started a third, but I ran out of this material, so I got to go pick some more of that up. So one more thing I'm going to have to do tomorrow is to put some blocking up here between these studs so that I can bolt that beam onto the building. You can see I've got a piece of wood up there. That's 2x6. I don't really need 2x6. I could, but I'm probably just going to get some 2x4s for here, 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 and here, put them in there, and then using my template from the outside, set the holes and drill them, and then bolt the beam to the building once I get it painted, everything. So just need to do the blocking up here and mark the holes and drill them, and then I should be good to go for putting that beam up and putting the metal on as a tiny little roof to cover things. So yeah, that's it pretty much. It took all day. Wasn't too much done here, but it certainly doesn't seem like there was too much done, but I guess there wasn't really. It's just a few little things that just took a long time. Anyway, I will talk to you tomorrow. Well, one more thing. This tool came today. It's a Craftsman power scrubber, and I bought it because I thought maybe it would help speed up the process of cleaning the outside of the building. This is without the additional wand, so you can make it almost like 4.5 feet tall. It just basically goes from, this thing comes off, you put the wand on, put it onto the wand, and the wand then connects to the battery here. But the problem, not really a problem, but something that I didn't expect was that it only has one speed. So if you just, you turn it on and then, it spins, but that's it. I expected maybe 2-3 speeds, but there are no speed controls for this. I tried it on the building. It seems to scrub stuff, but I just wonder if it's powerful enough to actually do the job, or whether that brush is going to last long enough. I'd probably have to get some additional brushes, but time will tell. We'll see. Anyway, just thought I'd share that one. Bye. Okay, it's Friday, June 27th, and time for an update. I've been rather remiss on doing updates, only because while stuff has been getting done, it's been very boring. Nothing really very interesting to show anybody. So I just kind of waited till I got some real progress to show. Even so, it's not that major, but it's been a lot of work to get to this point. So I feel like I should at least do a little video. So I'm in the back of the Quonset hut, and I just today installed I don't know what to call it, like the cross beam that holds the little 10-inch roof over the fan boxes. So let me flip around, I can show you that. All right, there it is. So that is just a 4x4 pressure treated that was cut on an angle and then holes drilled through it to bolt right through the wall of the Quonset hut. Let me see if I can make this bigger. Oh, there we go, that's a little better. And then it was bolted to the wall. I'll show you the inside where I had to put the blocking on the inside to hold the bolts. But you can see around here I've got a little paint. All I did was paint around that area with what I think is going to be the final color of this entire wall and even the metal part of the building. So yeah, and then it's just a piece of about 10-inch, well, it might even be a little longer than that, about a foot of metal, and then that's just screwed down into the 4x4 that's bolted to the wall. So I'll zoom in on that. Yeah, there you go. And I caulked it all the way around, top, bottom, side, left, inside, outside, you name it. I caulked it. So that's finally some progress, and that is basically, you know, it's just to shield the fan units from direct rain that might come down like this and come down, hit the building, drip off, and then fall. You know, obviously if there's a lot of wind blowing in here, it's not going to protect them, but I've got something else for that, so I'll show you that in a minute. And let's go around here to the inside. Yeah, so it's been really, really hot lately. Really difficult to get stuff done when it's this hot. Actually, today it's not that bad at all. Even yesterday was not too bad, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday was pretty brutal. So coming in here. Switch the light around here a little bit. So up here, I had to put these blockings in, and that's where the bolts come through from the outside through that support beam for the little roof, and then it's just bolted with some lag bolts and some nuts and washers. Zoom in on that. There you go. So that's what supports it on the inside. It's not going anywhere, that's for sure. And then over here, I finally have all of the fan boxes painted. Now that's a real pain because you can only do a couple sides at a time. Then you gotta flip it, you gotta wait for it to dry, flip it over, and then that's only the first coat, then you gotta do it all again. And there's a lot of like nooks and crannies in here. I got all of the mending plates, the larger mending plates installed, so now it's a double mending plate here. You got the original little one and then the larger ones. And then down here at the bottom, they're all, sorry, I just cut the video on myself, but these are all now routed out on the bottom and on the top to give the fan shroud just a little bit of room, just in case it decides to vibrate and hit against the wall of the fan box. So I got a little wiggle room to work with now. And then, what else has come? The shutters came. So these are some shutters that I'm going to cover each of the vertical fans with. I'm going to take, there's 4 of them here, and I'm going to put them together. So that'll be one shutter. What I'm going to do is these strips, these 1x3 fairing strips, just fit into that groove in the shutter, and then I'll bolt them either from the side or from the front with some nice looking panhead screws, and that is just basically to help stiffen it up, because these are really, they're pretty flimsy. I mean they're not too flimsy, but they're nothing but plastic. So I wanted to stiffen them up a little bit. And then these other strips here, I have to cut them, but they'll go across the top and lock these two shutters together. Let's see if I can do that a little better. So I have two shutters like this. Not working. Okay. And then I'll get a strip like this, put it across the top and the bottom, and screw it on there. And that'll make this into one big shutter for the left side or right side. And then the other two will become, the same thing will happen to those, and that'll be the right side or the left side. So that's going to protect the fan units from a lot of driving rain and still allow a lot of air to flow through, because this is all open here. So lets air through, protects from the rain. It's kind of what I needed. So, and then I got all of these pieces cut. These are the clamping boards that fit on each of the fan boxes. So when I'm ready, after I get the fan mounted, I will put the screening on, and then this will go onto the fan along the outside of the box and clamp down to hold it. So have all of them cut and ready to go. Probably got to paint them. Probably going to go with, I don't know, maybe this wine color. Might be a nice contrast to the peach, because there's a lot of peach color. All peach, all peach. Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to have just a little bit of contrast. And then finally, the metric bolts came for the fan units. So these are the weirdo little bolts that hold the fan. And then this is an extension nut. It's an M8 by 1.25, and then an M8 bolt that'll go through the side of the fan box and hold the fan shroud. So once I'm ready to do that, I can actually start mounting the fans. But other than that, I mean, I just done a little bit of organizing here. I got another shelf unit to just kind of spread things out a little bit. Things were getting a little bit too crowded for all the tools and stuff. So just makes it a lot easier to get to what you need when you need it. And you know, I'm pretty good about putting things back so that they're there when I need to get to them. Other than that, I think that's pretty much my progress for today. And I'm going to continue working on the fan units, get them completely done, because I am expecting the garage doors to show up in about 2 weeks. So I'll have the fans done, and I'll be ready to start framing for the garage doors. Okay, that's it for today. Talk to you in the next one.